Hey guys, welcome back. So this is the Oppo Find X3 Pro. Now I already did an unboxing video quite some time ago, so if you want to check out that video first, I'll put a link to that in the video description below. So yeah, I do realize it's taken a really long time for me to do this review, but with everything that's been going on, including preparing for my move to Canada, it has taken some time. But the flip side of it is that I've spent so much time on this phone, more than a lot of the other phones that I reviewed. And after even spending so much time with it, I still think that this could be the dark horse for the best phone of 2021. So first of all, the important specs, this does have the Qualcomm flagship chip, specifically the Snapdragon 888 CPU. And it also comes with 12GB of RAM and 256GB of storage. It also comes with a 4500 mAh battery, which is actually two batteries split, and also supports Super VOOC charging 2.0. And speaking of that Super VOOC charging, it's actually quite ridiculous how fast it is now. Now, I used it once and the phone actually died. I plugged it in and it charged from 0 to 100 in about 30 minutes. And of course, this comes with Android 11 and also Oppo's own ColorOS skin on it. Now, I've said this before, now outside of Google's own stock Android, I really do think that Oppo's ColorOS is right now the best Android experience so far. I do think that right now this is the only brand OS that has the right balance of, having your ColorOS look, but at the same time not having things too convoluted. But also it allows for an amazing amount of customizability. Now for the screen, this is a 6.7-inch Quad HD Super AMOLED screen, which is pretty cool. But it also has a refresh rate of up to 120Hz and a touch sampling rate of up to 240Hz. Now these are the max rates, alright? So for the screen refresh rate, it can actually go down all the way to 5Hz. So if you're doing something on the phone that has a lot of static images, doesn't move around so much, it'll probably drop the refresh rate, which is great and really helps to conserve battery. Now another amazing thing about this phone is that this is the first phone, to my knowledge, to actually have a 10-bit panel and actually support a whopping 1.07 billion colors. Now, of course, this does have an under-screen fingerprint sensor, a really snappy one at that. But of course, you can also do face unlock. Now, in terms of the Android user experience, what can I say? Of course, it's going to be absolutely brilliant. The entire experience using Android on this phone, really good. Browsing the internet, really smooth. Everything is really snappy. And of course, that 120Hz refresh rate just adds to everything looking and feeling really smooth. But then again, it is a flagship phone, so this is basically the minimum requirements of it. But at least it doesn't disappoint. Now the phone actually comes in two colors. So this one, the one that I have over here, is the blue, which has more of a matte finish. And you also get it in a glossy black, which I actually think looks a lot better. First of all, I have to say, and yes, I know not everyone is going to agree with me, but I think right now, in terms of design at least, this is the standout phone of 2021. Now, first of all, it has a good weight to it. Now, like I said before, I don't like phones that feel too light. This has a very good weight to it. It has probably the perfect thickness for my hands. Even the things like the width, it does have a curved screen, but the display screen is not curved, it's just a phone and the display itself is flat, which I love. But yeah, overall, this phone actually fits my hand the best out of every single phone that I've tested. But of course, that's not one of the main reasons why I think this is the standout phone in terms of design. Obviously, I'm gonna talk about the camera module at the back. Now, with every other phone on the market today, the camera module sort of sticks out of the phone and looks like an add-on. Well, Oppo is the first to do it, and honestly, I don't think they will be the last. But the back of the phone sort of blends in and flushes into the camera module, creating this curve. And how else can I describe it other than being absolutely beautiful? Now, even on this blue one, which has a matte finish, it already looks astounding. But on the glossy black, which I kind of wish Oppo sent me that one instead. But yeah, on the glossy black, with it being glossy, reflecting the light off that curve, it's just a whole different level of design. Even for the blue variant of the Oppo Find X3 Pro, you also get a similarly colored case, and I think that's a really nice touch. And even if you don't use the case, this is not a glossy back. It's a very nice matte finish. It's not a fingerprint magnet at all. It looks really good. But if you want to put a case, you can still have the case and have pretty much the same color. Now about this display. Now, of course, it is absolutely beautiful. It's an AMOLED screen. I have zero complaints. watching shows, watching movies on it is really nice. It gets really bright as well. No complaints there about the peak brightness. I don't have the exact peak brightness details, but no complaints as well. Even during sunlight, when you put it on auto, it goes out really bright. You can see everything. Now about that 10-bit panel, it's absolutely beautiful, no doubt. Although to a lot of people that I tried it out with, not everyone could really tell a difference. But again, like I said, the screen is absolutely beautiful, no complaints. It's definitely right up there. Now in terms of the speakers, you do have dual speakers at the bottom and also at the top. And they sound pretty good, I guess. They do get pretty loud, but I know compared to some other phones that I've tested, I find that it's lacking a little bit of body. Now for the camera, you get a 50 megapixel main camera. You also get a 50 megapixel ultra wide camera, which is great. You also get a 13 megapixel telephoto lens and a 3 megapixel micro lens. We'll talk about the micro lens in a bit. Now finally, a phone addresses a major issue that I've been talking about for a really long time. Now, a lot of phones, no matter how good they are, there is always a real issue with uniformity between the main camera and the ultra wide. Now, most phones have done a pretty good job making your main and your ultra wide sort of uniform, at least during the day. But then when you take pictures at night or even videos at night, then you see the vast difference between the two, and most of the time they're pretty poor. Now with the Oppo Find X3 Pro, you get the exact same sensor on the main and the ultra wide. Specifically, it is Sony's latest IMX766 sensor. Now easily, the Oppo Find X3 Pro has the best combination of main and ultra wide cameras on any Android phone. Even just talking about the main, the pictures are absolutely beautiful. The colors are vivid and vibrant without being oversaturated. It's really natural as well. I took the picture, looked at the phone, looked at what I was taking a picture of. It looked almost identical. And with the ultra wide, absolutely fantastic again. They look very similar. Although I will say that in certain cases, where at least there were a lot of sky in that picture, the ultra wide seemed to have a little bit more blue than the main. It wasn't a big deal, however. Everything still looked beautiful. Now with taking pictures in low light or at night, I'm so happy to announce that they are absolutely fantastic as well. I'm really glad that now you can take photos at night where your main and your ultra wide pictures still look really good. I will say though that the ultra wide still does take in a bit less light than the main. However, since they're using the same sensor, it makes me feel that this is probably a physical attribute with the ultra wide lens. Now videos are really great too, although I still think that Android phones still have some way to go to get better video, especially in low light. But there are some really good effects here as well. Now, of course, in photos, you can take photos with different effects. They are really nice, especially with the portrait, really nice portrait effect as well. Now, this phone actually has a video portrait mode, and it does the same thing in real time while you're filming. Now, my daily driver is a Samsung Note 10 Plus, and that also does have a video portrait mode, although it's pretty poorly done and I don't use it at all because it's so bad. But on this phone, I have to say, it is done so well. It's really natural as well. It looks almost like you're filming on a DSLR. I will say though that it is very sensitive to the distance, because to have that bokeh effect, the phone needs to be a certain distance towards the object. So what I would say is don't use it too much, if you're moving, but if your object is still, man, it looks absolutely perfect. Now for the selfie camera, you do get a 32 megapixel sensor, which is pretty good most of the time. However, it does suffer from the same issues that I've done when I've tested other phones as well, where in certain angles it tends to overexpose like crazy. I'm not quite sure why, and again, I don't like the beautifying effect, so I usually just bring that all the way down. Now back to the rear camera. Now like I said, it has a 13 megapixel telephoto lens. Now I just don't use it, honestly. I think the main camera is so good that you could probably just use that and then just zoom in if you want a closer shot. But now that brings me to the 3 megapixel micro lens. Now what the micro lens does is it takes microscopic pictures, alright? It's incredible. I don't think any other phone, I'm pretty confident no other phone has that. Now, it's absolutely incredible. When I first started taking it, I was so fascinated. I started taking microscopic shots of every single thing. Now, apart from the cool feature of being able to take microscopic shots, this feature or this lens actually allows you to take some really cool artistic shots. Alright, so let's talk about the price of the Oppo Find X3 Pro. So this comes in at about 1,559 Singapore dollars. Now, yes, that does seem quite expensive, although you do get this for free, alright? So this is the Oppo Enco X. So the Oppo Enco X is an ANC true wireless earbuds, and I'm actually releasing a review of that really soon, so don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss that. So the phone alone at 1,559 Singapore dollars does seem a little expensive. However, when you bundle it with this, which is about 260 Singapore dollars, I think, it does make this really good value. So what I think is, if you are looking for this phone, if you are already interested with this phone, I have zero complaints. It is a beautiful phone, and I do think that it's going to be one of the contenders for the best phone of 2021. Alright, so that about wraps up my review of the Oppo Find X3 Pro. Now, if you like this video, you know what to do, and I would love it if you were subscribed to our channel and hit the bell icon to receive notifications on our next video. I'm JP, and I'll see you real soon.